close friends.
No one can...
Hello again, Mother.
Jonathan, back already. Good, good. I was just about to go outside to find you. You shouldn't stay away for so long.
Goodbye, Mother. Try to rest now.
Goodbye, son. Please come back soon.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. A great night, what?
Calhoun, tell me about your relationship with Doris Fletcher.
Oh, Doris. Cold fire and burning ice trapped in a perfect body. Our passion was as intense as it was brief. What an actress.
How did you meet her?
On a boat to France before the war. She was thinking about a career in Paris, and I was eager to try French gastronomy. We both returned disappointed.
I expect you've seen her on stage, too.
She really is the best actress of her generation. Such frailty and such strength at the same time. I hope she'll play again soon. She's been away for too long.
You sound surprisingly sad. Have you regrets?
I think of her as a divine dish. I'm glad I was able to taste it, but I regret I could only get a bite of her mystery.
You really loved her, then?
She fascinated me, Dr. Reed. I can't imagine what she must have endured through her life to reach such a level of emotion and sensibility.
Goodbye, Mr. Russell. I'm sure you'll take care of yourself.
Survive the epidemic, but I see terrible... Good evening, Jonathan Reed. Can I help you in any way?
I found your notebook. The one the guard of Prewen stole from you.
And you've brought it back to me. That's excellent news, Jonathan. Were you able to keep yourself from reading it?
No.
Ah, the oldest temptation of all. If Pandora herself did not pass the test, I suppose I should not blame you for your curiosity.
So you're not angry with me?
Why should I be? To live is to make choices, Jonathan. And you made yours. Now give it to me, please.
Tell me the truth, Usher. Are you a vampire?
By the stole, you really thought you could force Usher Talltree to yield to your little mind tricks like an oblivious mortal?
Why can't I force you to answer me then?
I'm the primate of St. Paul's Stole. It comes with certain advantages, like accessing the greatest library in the country and avoiding answering certain questions.
So, are you or are you not a vampire?
As a brilliant man once said, to be unambiguous can only be to one's own detriment.
Goodbye, sir. Until we meet again.
I rarely wander, yet it amuses me to converse with your kind. And the Empress, again. What are the cards?
Jonathan, my dear, I can never thank you enough.
Thank me? For what?
Come now, you know what I mean. I am, well, I'm just like you.
Making you my progeny was supposed to be a punishment, Dr. Swansea.
Don't worry, I know. From time to time, I even experience glimpses, flashes, of your very thoughts. It can be somewhat annoying, my dear. Quite a punishment indeed.
How do you feel since you changed?
Absolutely fine. Did you know I can determine the health of every patient or nurse just by looking at him? Fascinating.
Have you taken a life yet, Edgar?
Don't you think that's a private matter? I would not ask you such an indiscreet question.
Do you feel the hunger?
Yes. It's very peculiar, not like mortal hunger at all. It's like I'm never sated. Fortunately, blood is no rare commodity at Pembroke.
What will you do now that you are immortal?
Experiment, my dear colleague. I have an eternity to make scientific progress. I could be the only scientist able to undertake extreme experiments upon himself.
My God, Edgar! Did you learn nothing from your forays into folly?
I have, I swear. No more experiments on mortals. See? I said mortals. How quickly the mind adapts.
What kind of experiments?
Who knows? Nervous shock, brain damage, pain and recovery. There's almost no limit to what my body can now endure. I could be the next Henry Head.
Will you continue as Pembroke's administrator?
Of course. I can help more than ever. And since I'm already dead, I can't get sick.
Are you not afraid Priwen will find you? Next time, they will do more than abduct and torture you.
I remain a man of peace. If things were to go awry, I would flee rather than slice them up as you would, my friend.
Have you seen Elizabeth? Has she passed this way since you returned?
No. And I'm terrified to see her again. I really am, Jonathan. She could very well tear me to pieces for what I did.
Have you news of Geoffrey McCullum? I'm sure both of you would have quite an interesting discussion after recent events.
He left the hospital without being treated for the severe beating you gave him. We'll meet again soon enough.
Do you not think he will kill you where you stand?
Funny you should mention it. I asked him once what he would do if I were a vampire. He said he would give me an hour for old time's sake.
Goodbye, Edgar. I'm certain we'll meet again. Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Are things better now that Dr. Swansea is back?
The vampire hunters have not come back. I hope this time it's for good.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Damn.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Is the situation better now that Dr. Swansea has returned?
I don't know. He seems different.
How so?
Last night, someone approached me while I was sleeping. I didn't move. Not a muscle, but he was sniffing my neck. Just like Thelma does.
Are you sure it was Dr. Swansea?
I recognized his cologne.
What happened then?
Left without a word. Gave me the right fucking willies, it did.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
But the suffering continues.
Disgust on every street corner.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
How are things now that Dr. Swansea is back?
I must admit, the situation is better. We still have to deal with the epidemic, but it's good to have someone in charge again.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
You are going to...
How long's it going to take to fix me properly?
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
How is everything now that Dr. Swansea is back?
The hospital could not keep on like this without an administrator. So things are back to normal, I guess.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later. Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
How is the situation now that Dr. Swansea is back?
I'm impressed by the man. He was abducted, and now he's back happy as ever, helping the patients all night long. An example to us all.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
How are things now Dr. Swansea is back?
He visited me soon after his return. He asked me if I'd agree to some experimental procedure. I said I'd think about it.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
Sweet girl. Reads me like a book.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
How are things now Dr. Swansea has returned?
Better, I suppose.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
How is the situation now Dr. Swansea is back?
I can't say if it's good news or not.
What do you mean?
He used to stay in his office a lot. Now he tends to visit the patients more, but he smiles less.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Tomorrow, more bodies will... Good evening, Dr. Reed. Such a pleasure to see you again.
Are things better now Dr. Swansea has returned?
Dr. Swansea visited here for the first time last night. He wanted to know if the corpses were adequately confined.
What do you think of that?
I'm glad, sir. We spent too many weeks facing death and disease without really taking security measures. It's good to have him back.
Goodbye, Mr. Chidana.
Tomorrow, more bodies will arrive and then sadly depart.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Is everything all right now that Dr. Swansea is back?
The situation is hard, but Dr. Swansea promised me things will get better. He even said he'll take care of us all. And I believe him.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance. Good evening, Dr. Timmins.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
How are things now that Dr. Swansea is back?
Dr. Swansea seems changed by what happened to him. Really changed.
Changed how?
I don't know. Happier? No, it's not that. More serene.
Is that a good thing?
Yes. It's like he finally found his true self.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
How has it been since Dr. Swansea came back?
Rumour says you saved him. I must say I'm impressed.
Goodbye, Milton.
Hey, Doc.
How's the situation now that Dr. Swansea is back?
As shitty as always. People die, people cry, people disappear. This place is no different than the rest of this miserable city, Doc.
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
We are not in the middle of a battlefield anymore.
Hello again, Mr. Blight.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. You doing your rounds as usual?
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Take care of yourself. Good evening.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Mr. Thatcher. Try to take care of yourself.
What good fortune brings you back to me, Jonathan? What is it, my dear?
I'm afraid it's bad news, Elizabeth. The worst, actually.
Please, speak up.
Edgar is no longer in McCullum's grasp. I resolved that matter.
Where is our good friend now? Is he well?
Of a sort. His injuries were mortal. I had no choice but to make him one of us. To save him. Or to punish him.
To punish him? I fail to understand. And what is the source of this cold tone in your voice?
Edgar Swansea was responsible for the Skal epidemic, Elizabeth. It was he who unleashed the deadly scourge upon London.
What? Are you certain? This is the most terrible accusation of all.
He confessed everything to me. He sought to cure the disease, to exploit vampire blood to stop the epidemic. But he unwittingly gave birth to a catastrophe.
All those poor victims. How could he do it? What happened?
Edgar was a criminal. He abused every ethical tenet to test his theory about vampire blood as a cure for influenza.
I must say I'm shocked, Jonathan. Who would have thought it? And the poor patient. Let me guess. It was Harriet Jones, was it not?
Yes. That explains how Doris Fletcher was infected, and how she became an Ichor. She secretly visited her mother at Pembroke.
Then we have no choice. We must act quickly, Jonathan. We must return to the sewers and put an end to the threat poor Harriet embodies.
I have one more matter to discuss with you. Harriet Jones was the primary case, but do you know what a healthy carrier is?
There is a tone in your voice that frightens me, Jonathan. What are you trying to say?
It was your blood Edgar used for his experiment on Harriet Jones.
What? No. No. This can't be. Oh.
Elizabeth, are you all right?
No, I have to go.
What do you mean?
Leave me alone. Save the city, Jonathan. Save what can be saved.
Elizabeth, I need answers. Why did your blood
Stay
cause
away
this?
from me. Please. I swear I never was your enemy.
Wait! No! Elizabeth! Now would be a good time to blend the recipe Marshall used when he fought the disaster. I think I know where to find what I need. Whose blood could be purer than that of William Marshall? Lord Redgrave will have to spare me a drop.
Sir, you are not welcome.
I'm still persona non grata in the Ascalon Club. If I want to speak with Lord Redgrave, I'll have to improvise. Good evening, Lord Redgrave.
What are you doing here, traitor? I shall smite you for this audacity.
I'm not here to bicker, Lord Redgrave. I can put an end to this epidemic, but I need your assistance to do so.
Good. We've held out thus far, but the time has come to put an end to this crisis. Tell me, what do you need?
The blood of William Marshall.
The blood of William Marshall? Of my maker? Are you mad? This blood is the purest of all. My maker proffered it to me on the battlefield. I cannot hand it to you.
Stop this farce. Marshall never was your maker. I have no idea how you acquired his blood, but I need it now.
I see. Well, in that case, given the gravity of the situation, I suppose I can spare you a drop.
Thank you, my lord.
If you manage to save this city, you'll prove yourself a veritable servant of the crown. So Godspeed, Dr. Reed. Our fate lies wholly in your hands. You again? What do you want?
I have a few questions to ask.
You hold in that vial the most sacred blood of all. I can help you no more. We all count on you, Dr. Reed, for tragedy is imminent.
Kill it!
If McCullum really drank the blood of King Arthur, then I may have found another vital ingredient for my recipe. Good evening, vampire hunter.
Are you here to end me, Leech? You'll find I will not be killed easily.
Not at all, McCullum. I am here because I need you.
Really? I'm intrigued. Speak up, then.
I need the blood of a king. The blood of Arthur. I'm certain you possess it, and I must have it.
The Guard's most sacred and precious relic. Why would you? You found Marshall's memoirs. I should have destroyed that book.
I need the antidote to save this city, McCullum.
It is within me to take your words as truth. I want to, but I must know more. What precisely are your plans?
I have found the carrier, McCullum. The infection's source. It may be science or some supernatural power that's responsible for all this. But I will harness either or both to end the epidemic.
A vampire doctor. My God, you're a terrifying creature. Jonathan Emmett Reed.
Do you not understand? We wanted the same thing from the outset. A means to end this vampire epidemic.
Not enemies. Maybe that is so. Take it then. I see no other hope for this city. If this is some trick, you will be damned, Dr. Reed.
Thank you. Can we speak more?
Indeed. Why not?
Why are you here?
The man who raised me after the brutal murder of my parents. He's buried here.
Were both your parents killed by vampires?
Yes. And yet worse. My father returned to Dublin a vampire and tore out my mother's throat.
And who was this man?
Carl Eldritch. One-time leader of Prewin. He killed my father in front of me. Helped me hunt my brother Ain after teaching me how to kill leeches.
What will the Guard of Prewin do now? Will you stop the Great Hunt?
Yes. But we shall continue to protect innocents from beasts like you and your red-headed friend.
Like me?
I am indebted to you for sparing me at Pembroke. But this won't always be the case. I'm no coward like those St. Paul's Stoll brothers.
How long have you known Lady Ashbury? Where is she? And what will you do to her?
We saw you meeting her, so of course we investigated. But she is gone. Our scouts reported she has sold some paintings and departed for an unknown destination.
Adieu, vampire hunter.
Until we meet again, blood drinker.
I cannot use garlic, but there may be a substitute in the Pembroke Hospital drug storage.
please, sir. Behind me! It's on to us! What's on? He's dead! The beast must!
There it is. Insulin. Much more efficient than garlic against blood poisoning and sepsis, and much less dangerous for me. Thank you, Dr. Polescu.